Hello, and welcome to another episode of Automate Office Work. I'm your host, Justin. Today's episode is What We Can Learn from the Military About Innovation, with my guest, Shelley Bauer.
All right. Shelley Bauer, welcome.
Hi, welcome to me.
All right. And so you are an expert on innovation in the military,
Sure. Yes.
at least more so than the average person. How
Okay.
did you come across this kind of expertise?
So I think first of all, we should address the bias and the stereotype that military leaders or military people function best and only when there's rigid structure. And so, I mean, at some points and some rules, I guess that is true, right? Like customs and courtesies, you always salute, you always stand up, you always, do certain things. And in that case, yeah, there is some rigidity there. But then when it comes to processes and living in real life, where variables are very much unknown, humans are involved, politics are involved, the world, climate, whatever is involved, like you can't predict that future. And so how do you accomplish the mission when there's all of these variables out there doing their own thing on their own time and still, achieve the goal? That's where I think the misconception of rigidity really comes into play, because there is no way to be rigid in those environments. So now it becomes I want to say training and skill in observing what's going on around you and how to respond. And that response is that creative agility that is transferred into a corporate or company environment. Does that is is that thought process connected to anyone else outside of my head? I don't know.
I think so.
To me, it makes sense. So, like, I grew up wanting adventure. I thrive with curiosity, wonder, and um, I take that and I put it into everything that I do. And when people are super logical and only want fast judgment, fast ROI, everything needs to be fast and efficient, sometimes they miss those opportunities to grow and those opportunities to innovate and different ways to see things that I bring to the table. And so what I mean by that is when we're so, what do I want to say, lawyers especially, we are taught logic, right? We're taught to look at past, to mitigate risk for future. We're taught in very equation form, like cause effect, prevent, these very linear things. And with that, like computers really help us with that, because computers are very similar in that thought process, because we have learned and we are now conditioned to believe this is the most efficient way to think. But in reality, it can stifle our ability to notice exceptions. And it can stifle our ability to be curious about those exceptions. And instead, it kind of programs our brains to see exceptions as noise or dismiss them as outliers. Like, we don't need to pay attention to that because that's not our standard, right? That disrupts the flow.
Or it's not my job.
What was that? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or it's just not my job.
That's not my job. That's somebody else, right?
I only do risk mitigation. I don't care about this other stuff.
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly. So this perpetuates the whole like siloed experience, right? Where I'm here, I'm thinking about this. This is what I do. But where's that cross-cultural transfer? Where's that knowledge, being shared? What is standard for one silo is not the standard in another. Maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. I don't know, because nobody's talking about it. Because I do this thing. And so what I like to do, especially as a new person, when I come in as a lawyer in-house, I will go straight to the CFO or whomever is the point of contact in finance and say, hey, what do we care about around here? And I get it, it's a very broad question, but it's broad on purpose, because how they respond and how they answer tells me what's important to them in their seat. And then I can continue asking questions. And the questions are based on what, when, who, where, how, those questions. I've learned to stay away from asking why. In the beginning, I've had to learn to stay away from why, because it can come across as judgmental, and it can come across as a deposition, and that is entirely the opposite of what I'm trying to do.
Or the person might not even know why.
Right.
And you just come across it, you make them feel stupid.
Right. Which is, again, another thing I don't want to do, because I'm trying to learn. I'm just trying to learn here, buddy. Right? Like, I'm the new kid. And so from there, then I can hopefully gain the knowledge as far as like what kind of establishment is this, and what is the strategy for finance. So then I know how to structure payment language. So then I know what triggers revenue recognition. So I can mitigate some of that risk down the line for, say, when sales decides to incorporate a lot of discounts over the entire time of a contract. Like, that is not within our strategy. If our entire strategy is to recognize revenue, right? And then
how did you gain this in the military?
Sorry?
You still haven't
we're getting there. We're getting there. Don't worry. So this is the lawyer side, right? So this is the lawyer side. So the lawyer side thinks in these ways. Like, so my military side is more like, show me some example red lines, and then I'll just run with it. And I'll just run with it because what I learned is I blend structured discipline with creative agility. And I learned how the structured discipline and creative agility works because I led experts across multiple disciplines in, now ready for all the buzzwords, cross-functional collaboration.
Wow.
Corporations like that, yeah. But it is true. So I was an aircraft maintenance officer. I had zero experience with aircraft in my life before. I wanted to be a special investigator in the Air Force, and the Air Force came back and said, you get to be an aircraft maintenance officer instead. So
I'm imagining tons of checklists.
Amazing amounts of checklists. Amazing amounts. And so for me, I was thinking when I came in, oh my gosh, this is going to be so rigid. Like, I'm going to get drowned in checklists. And then I learned the reason why. The checklists were to prevent complacency. And when you're in a world of risk of life and limb on a day-to-day basis, complacency is a factor. Like, that is its own risk. And so by having those checklists, you have the reminders of like stuff you need to do in sequential order, other things you have to do, but maybe they aren't sequential order, whatever, like on and on. And then I learned all of my freedom to operate. And this was
Adam, I keep hearing from you. You're like, just give me the box and I'll go play in that box.
yeah,
But
exactly.
give me the boundaries. It's like boundaries give you freedom.
Yes, that's exactly it. So in our leadership training, we learned guardrails, boundaries, the box, the rules, the regulations, the whatever it is. Those are your parameters to operate. And then from there, you know the strategy, you know the mission, you know the commander's intent. And so the commander tells the rest of us, here's my thought process. Here are my expectations. Here's what's required. Here's the cadence, right? Here's what's expected on day-to-day, weekly, quarterly, whatever. And then the rest is up to us as leaders to operationalize.
It's the opposite of micromanaging.
Yes, yes. Now, mind you, some of these leaders were still micromanagers, like every once in a while. They were pretty easy to identify almost immediately. My senior enlisted mentors, God bless them and all of their patience with me. They were like, hey, LT, abbreviation for lieutenant. Let us know when the new commander gets in. I was like, okay. Oh, and pay attention to what he does with the office. I was like, pay attention to what he does with the office? I'm like, what? So in every environment, a commander gets his or her own office. And there's only so many ways you can rearrange it. And so if a new commander comes in, looks around and decides, oh, this is not going to work, before even understanding why it's set up the way it's set up, just starts grabbing everyone from off the floor who's working. If this commander interrupts working enlisted troops to come in and rearrange the furniture, and then or ask the orderly room to order all new furniture because none of this will work, you have a pretty good idea what your commander is going to be like for the next 2-3 years. And so when I see this in the civilian world, I'm just like, oh, I wonder if this is translatable. And I think it is, right? Like, I think it truly is. And so anyway, operationalizing expectations, governance, regulations, and completing the mission is a skill set that I don't see a lot of lawyers have. And so when it was a surprise to me when I came in as a lawyer, and I was like, oh, well, you're in a leadership position, so you must have this training. You must know how to articulate your expectations. You know, like, I have these assumptions that I've learned are not true. And I've had to reel it back in. And that's why I start with those basic questions, right? What do we care about around here? because I think that's an easier question for most people to answer.
What's our mission?
Yeah, what is our mission? But if I say that, they're like, oh gosh, you're military, you're rigid. You require high amounts of structure. And we have way too many one-offs and way too many variables to give you the structure you need. And I was like, I don't need it. It helps to streamline processes, and it helps to identify policies that maybe are not working in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we are not setting up our people and our teams for success.
Mm-hmm.
So I operate by, how do we set up our people for success, which then translates to company or corporate success. And that's kind of my line of thinking. And so I don't blindly follow processes. I don't blindly follow checklists, especially if they don't adapt to reality. Like, what's the real world process? I see what's written down, but according to my colleagues, we never follow that. So why don't we follow that? Why don't we rewrite it then to actually show what we do? And I think this is a part of the disconnect when we talk with general counsel, senior counsel, and then junior counsel. Or how about legal staff people who aren't lawyers, who will have a function, a very important function. And so people at different levels are prioritizing different things. And I notice senior counsel and general counsel are not necessarily staying aware of how work is actually being done. So it's almost like I already learned those skills, so I'm working on strategy. It's like, okay, I get you. You aren't doing that work every day anymore. Cool. But are you aware of what's going on? So you can strategize and make more efficient or cost-effective, or whatever the goal is, plans for your strategy that relates to real world tactical operations in play. And I think there's a disconnect there. And so when we talk about automating, and when we talk about AI, and we talk about technology, it's like, well, we implemented this thing. Look at all of its functions. Look how helpful it is.
Why?
But your strategy is not aligned with current tactical operations. And your processes and policies don't align with current tactical operations. So the idea that you can just implement technology and let it fix everything is mistaken. And here's an opportunity right now to start level set. Let's level set. Let's figure out what's actually going on. Where are the real problems? Versus, I was there as a junior and this is what I experienced. That's no longer true.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, what, in the past 5 years, maybe? Especially is when everything just started really rapidly changing with technology. So I don't think we can make those assumptions. Like, I was incorrect with my assumption. I don't think we can make the assumptions of what we learned over 10 years ago is still the way things are done now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I could see if we were to go ahead and be like, well, let's just use AI to automate what the strategy was 10 years ago, we become irrelevant.
Yeah.
I see there's a really big risk in legal. Like, we become paper pushers. It's just bureaucracy for bureaucracy's sake. We're like, well, the business needs to fill out these 100 forms just because then I need to review them, to make sure they check the right boxes. If that's your job, a computer can easily do that.
And that's
That
what,
should not be the point.
right. Well, yeah. So I think this goes to the question, like, who do you want to be? What kind of team do you want to be? If you want to be a team of high performers, this thought process that we have to check every single document, every single agreement has to be reviewed by legal and approved by legal. You know, like, if you do that, it's no wonder why the workloads are so insurmountable in some teams.
And AI will replace you.
Right,
Not just
right, and
replace you, but show that your job was completely no value added.
right. Now, and the thing about AI is that it doesn't operate on intuition. It does not take into account real world variables that come into play,
It
context,
doesn't care
right?
about your feelings.
It does not care about feelings at all, which is kind of helpful in some ways. But mostly, it will operate based on however it's programmed in the first place. And so if the program doesn't meet the culture and the strategy and the environment of the corporation or the company, now you have another area where there's a disconnect. And so when I think about my military background, I think about commander's intent. And if your AI program is not programmed with commander's intent, where are your boundaries? Where are
It's
your
for
guardrails?
those checklists.
It
not
goes
the
back
intent.
to, yeah.
So then it multiplies the checklists.
Yes.
And maybe it automates the checklists and makes millions of these checklists when that wasn't the intent.
That was not the intent at all. Unless that's what your AI tool was brought in to do, right? So in the end, what's the purpose? What purpose are we satisfying? What is the mission? What is the overall plan? And I think when I say I think, maybe I don't think, I don't know, maybe I'm assuming. There is a chance here to be more clear and have more clarity now that we've seen what happens when we don't operate with clarity, to reel it back in and notice what happened and then respond with, like, we see this happening, but instead of assuming cause, this gives us an opportunity to maybe dig in a little bit deeper. You know, maybe it's not what we thought. Maybe what we thought were exceptions are actually the rule. Maybe, you know, because sales or customer service or whomever, like large groups or those groups with high impact in the company, maybe they never train their new people. And so their new people are running things the way they did at their previous companies, which are not in alignment with this particular company and this particular legal team. You know, it could be just as simple as, like, let's level set with all the teams and make sure everybody has an onboarding plan that meets commander's intent, right? Let's make sure that everybody is operating with commander's intent. And then from there, we have a foundation of common knowledge and common goals instead of siloed technical steps that we follow no matter what. And so that's what I like to bring and what I like to help people in leadership positions determine. And I think what you were saying when we were talking before, you have an ideas platform, which is brilliant because it allows people to speak to what they see in real time. And it helps connect those gaps between senior counsel and junior counsel and other supporting staff in that realm. And it can tell general counsel a lot more information about real world versus maybe whatever that person is assuming based on their own experience. And then also there's current decision fatigue because there's so much coming at legal teams. It's like, how do we even prioritize or decide? This isn't up to legal. Like, right? Like, this is a commercial decision. This doesn't belong to us. This is pricing. This is marketing. This is, whatever. And so now our priorities have gotten blurred. Like, what is up to legal and what is for their own departments to do? And I think that would come out. I would predict that would be a big thing on the ideas board, like if it were to come up. Have you seen some trends in that area?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see a lot of times the mission of legal, like as legal expands and becomes bigger, it becomes like a bureaucracy. It's very bureaucratic. And so its mission becomes growing for growth itself. Like, we need more people in this department, and we need a bigger budget, and we need more managers. And if I want to be a manager, I need more people under me, and I need an even bigger budget. So, like, as I see like other departments come to me and say, hey, we need help. Oh, definitely, we'll help you with anything, right? We'll even hire new people to do that. And then your question, like, should legal even be doing this? That goes against that bureaucratic mission. But if we took on that question head on, that's actually helping the business.
Yes.
Like, no, let's discipline you to use legal the right way.
Yes. And that part is leadership, right? So leadership is not position, and it's not an assumed trait after practicing a certain amount of years. It's adaptive, and it's a practical discipline, and it's day to day, and it's keeping awareness of reality and what's happening, and keeping that communication open to those doing the work day to day. What are you seeing? What's happening? Do we need a pivot? There's a lot of pivoting. And when we're overly structured and have way too many checklists for checklist sake, if there's no reason, if there's no because statement behind a checklist, then what? What's its purpose? Get rid of it. If you can't, if there's no rationale behind something, then do we need to pause? Yeah, do we need to pause and make up one? Or is that your answer, that you don't need it? Get rid of it. There's a lot of things we can get rid of, but
This is radical.
Yeah.
What if a legal department or any team did an audit of like every single thing they do and just ask the question, what would happen if we didn't do this? If the answer is nothing, then let's get rid of it. Why are we doing it?
Right. And I think
it makes us look good.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of optics management. Let's not discount that.
That's my territory. Like, nobody cares about your territory. Like, that's not helping the mission.
Yeah. And how does that fit within the realm of profit and loss? Like, I care about P&L in the end. Other people care about revenue. So that's fine if the strategy is revenue. But also make sure your expectations are known. Because if your expectations aren't known, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do whatever I can within my known boundaries and get it done. And I can see how some people in leadership positions are like, oh my gosh, this toddler is coming in here with Sharpie pens and scissors and running around like a wild maniac, when really there is a reason behind what I'm doing, and it is set with purpose, but it does not look like standard corporate script. because I've learned to operationalize, and I've learned to implement, and I've learned and been trained to do these things. It's almost like inverse experience order to a lawyer, because it seems like GCs are expected to do this, or chief legal officers are expected to do this. And that's how I started. So I know there's a way we can bridge this. And that's what I hope to do in my new endeavor with my company.
Very nice. I really like this idea of like having a mission, and having the mission not just be ego driven, that
Yes.
like, oh, our department needs to look like we're adding value. We look like we're busy. Like, that's not what the company needs. Like, like we and like if your team was to do that in the military, and then you didn't accomplish the mission, like there's no point to this. Like, oh, but then this general gets promoted at what cost? You know, like a whole platoon of people just died or something. Like, that's not the point. I heard something that was profound to me when I became a consultant. I left the legal industry. Well, I'm still in the legal industry, but to be working on this side. And I was working with like a workshop with some lawyers, and one of the lawyers asked, "What is our mission? What are we trying to accomplish as a legal department?" And one guy in that workshop, he said something profound. He said, everything that legal does should support sales. That's it. If you are doing anything that doesn't add value to sales, stop it. And he said, everything sales does should be going to support the customer. Anything the customer needs, sales is there to provide it. If there's any extra value, any extra things sales is doing that the customer doesn't see or the customer doesn't perceive as value, sales should stop doing that. So like I imagined it like the tip of the spear is sales helping the customer. Behind that is all the support functions that are supporting the sales. And behind that, behind the legal department is legal operations. What does legal operations do? Anything that supports the legal, who is supporting sales, who's supporting the customer. And then you take it back even another step, like you and me, we are consultants. What is our job? What is our mission? Our mission is to support legal operations, who supports the legal lawyers, who supports sales, who supports the customer. So like every single thing we do, that should be our mission. Our mission shouldn't be, oh, look at me, how great I am. I can waste everybody's time by doing, I don't know, some mysterious magic.
Anything that makes me look good. Anything that makes me look good, right?
So I would see things like this in some legal teams. The manager would tell all the lawyers under them, like, you know, if you receive an email and you can answer it in 5 minutes, don't. Because the business perceives value in what we give by how long it takes. So sit on that email for a week or two and then answer. And I'm thinking,
wow,
no.
Wow, I've never heard that. That's pretty wild.
Don't do that. That does not support the mission.
Yeah. Now I will say the boundaries within this and the guardrails within this to maintain the value of legal is not to continue to do sales admin work, right? There has to be boundaries.
Don't be the secretary.
Right, right. So while it is supporting sales, is that really legal's function? And
I see it. There's a higher value here that legal could act as like a coach, and sales is our athlete. You know, the athlete wants us to like go make the goal for them or something, or don't make me run a lap again or do push-ups or
Yeah,
something. But if we're a really good coach, we actually make them. We discipline them. We tell them exactly, or like if the business comes to me with a bunch of garbage, I can say, time out. You're wasting my time. If you arrange your request in such a way that I get the exact data points that I need, I can now help you faster.
right,
I can now actually be a partner.
right.
And by me speaking up, I'm actually helping you.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. That's part of us, legal people, whomever, sharing our expectations to others. Like for us to help you, we need certain things.
Mm-hmm.
For this to go faster, we need certain things. Because what I notice is like sales or whomever will be like, oh my gosh, this is a lot to read. There's a lot of stuff. I'm going to give that to legal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, now you're shifting cognitive duties that belong in your world, in your department, onto legal. If you want to
And
do
legal
that,
takes it.
right?
Legal wants to look helpful.
Right. And
We
then
solve
legal wants to
any
be
problem
helpful.
you give to us.
Yes. Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
then now that waters down some of the value,
Mm-hmm.
but also it starts rapidly shifting priorities that are actually legal's job. So now we're entering bottleneck world. So why are things getting bottlenecked? Well, maybe the team is inundated with a bunch of stuff that really isn't theirs. And in order to appear helpful, which is also seen as value,
Busy.
it's busy work, right? And so this goes back to having courage and discipline as leaders to say, this is ours, this is not. We can help you do this by showing you, and then it's up to you, whomever, to train your own people on how to do this. Because in the end, the way sales operates, the way customer service operates, the way marketing operates, whomever, procurement, the way they operate internally on their own teams, they are best qualified to train their own people. Like they know the ins and outs and the tips and tricks. So it's not a matter of saying, oh, legal's not helpful. Sometimes we're not the best suited people to do it. We don't have that context within their team to know how to answer certain things. And so that's the other thing in my military leadership is respect people and their teams and their expertise in their world. And so when I lead, multidisciplined experts on a collaboration project investigation, fixing an aircraft, whatever it is, it's everybody brings their own systems thinking to the table. And then we determine, who's best qualified and skilled to solve that problem. And sometimes it's multiple steps, and each team has a part in each step. And so then it becomes an orchestration of, okay, now you, okay, now you, okay, now you, right? And then in the end, it's done, mission accomplished. And I think that, thank you. And I think the legal teams can really use that help in determining where do we start, right? Like where do we even go?
So where do you see legal teams struggling? Like I just imagined some legal teams are like a one-man army.
Yeah, yeah, some of them are. And you know what? Those I've seen some of the one person teams. You can say that. They're a team because they have successfully incorporated tools that addressed their pain points. they didn't have to go through a bureaucracy, right? They knew exactly which pain points they needed help with, especially time-consuming, tedious tasks, right? With larger teams or larger companies, workload disbursement. So they might have 5 people on a team, but there's a favorite person who gets all the work because they're responsive, they're helpful, they're, you know, all the words. But nobody's managing the workload. The successful teams I see have someone looking at workload disbursement and making sure nobody is overloaded. And
that used to be what a manager did.
yeah.
Wow.
I don't know where that went. And on some teams they have a paralegal doing it, and other in-house teams it's a supervisor sort of person. Also, there's a self-assessment that needs to be done. Like, I'm really good at these things, so if any of these things come across, send them my way. And then that helps the decision maker to be like, oh, okay, we have somebody who can do this, because they may not know, right? So setting priorities, workload disbursement, articulating expectations, and onboarding. There's a huge opportunity for success with onboarding. The US right now is in a high churn sort of space right now. So people are leaving, which means knowledge is leaving. And if there's no way to transfer it to those staying behind, it's lost. So everybody's starting over, trying to figure out, like, how did that person do everything? I don't know. They just did it. And so there's an opportunity here where when we bring in new people, we can show them and tell them, this is what we care about. This is how we do things. These are the expectations.
All right, please continue. I've been enjoying. I've been trying to like stop myself from saying stuff because like you have great examples yourself.
Oh,
I completely agree with everything you say, and I have lots of experiences I could share that would back this up as well. But I'm like, just let her talk.
No, I like it. I like it. What, like, was there something that spurred a specific scenario or example that
like the leaders that aren't leading? Like that's not what leadership is. Like we need leadership. Like leadership involves like a vision, like pointing a direction.
Yes. So this is something else. As I talk to more lawyers, as well as business, like I loved working with salespeople who respected the boundaries, and they knew that if they bogged me down with their administrative requests, I can't get their other stuff done. And so they're doing this internal checklist of, but if I give her this will delay the other thing that actually requires a legal review. I'd much rather get that done, and I'll figure out this other admin stuff, along the way. Those are like the best salespeople. I also worked with a few salespeople who would catch me early in the morning, and they would pull up the contract and say, okay, you've asked me to fill out my own admin stuff, but I really don't know what that means. Like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, here is the very low stakes stuff you can do. Let me show you. And really, that's all it takes. So what I ended up doing was I would take a contract, say, because that's usually what comes our way, and I would make comments, and I would highlight all the areas that are very low risk that a salesperson can update on their own. And in the comments, I would give instructions on where they find that information. And then
you wouldn't go get it for them.
I would not. No. And then from there, they had a source of truth on how to do something that helps us. And helps us, meaning sales and legal. It's like, help us help you, you know, that help us help you. Yeah. Yeah. And once they had their source, they had it bookmarked and they would go to it every time, and it became part of their own process. And then they would teach new people coming in, hey, this is what works. This is what we found is the fastest if you want your deal to go through faster. And then this streamlines the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then they can train each other instead of expecting legal to do it every time.
I'm hearing in your words, there's a pattern that you're all about, like putting structure in place. Like,
there you go.
Like drawing the borders around, and there's like, here's what you do, here's what I do, here's what somebody else does. We're not going to overlap and do each other's stuff, but we all know where we play. And then you have a freedom within that. So like boundaries are not just restrictions. It creates freedom. An example that I give on a LinkedIn post, it was, if you have infinite energy that can just go everywhere, right? There's it's not pointed anywhere. That's actually a bomb.
Yes.
But let's say you take the energy and you put it inside of like a structure with like boundaries, and you're able to like point the energy in a certain way. So that actually creates an engine. It's like a rocket.
Yes.
And now we can go places. So structure isn't a prison. Structure is liberation. Structure is discipline.
Yes.
Structure is order. Structure is, it's all kinds of these things, but it's freeing.
It is freeing because now you know where to aim your energy. You know where to aim your focus. And something that's really important in the military is, as a leader, as an officer, or a senior enlisted leader, if you're busy, quote, helping everyone do their jobs, who's doing yours? And are you working at the highest performance level if you're already doing everybody else's? And the answer is you're not, right? Like, we only have so much energy and brain power. So to create high performance teams, allow people to do their own work. They will do their own work because as a leader, you gave them your expectations. They already know the mission, and then they have the freedom to execute based on their magic and their strengths, which is what we want. And then it's up to me as a leader to figure out, are we moving in the direction that we need to meet commander's intent? Do we have the resources that we need to fulfill our mission and commander's intent? Where are the gaps? What's happening? Sometimes we don't have the right skill set on our teams because something has changed, because business has decided to go into a new territory, say, and now we don't have anybody with legal expertise in that territory. Well, we can wing it for a while, but does that meet commander's intent and the mission? Maybe, because maybe that territory is low risk, right? Maybe it's not a big deal if we stretch ourselves into learning something new. Then again, maybe like we can't be messing around with securities when we've only ever been a private company. That's a different territory that maybe we don't want to be messing around with and just winging it. So it's a constant, it's I don't want to say change because that excites people and gets people like anxious. It's like, oh my God, more change. But a regular assessment of where are we? How are things going? Are we where we need to be? Are you noticing gaps? Do we need to bring in skills development? So in this world, I don't know about Europe, but in the US, if we're hiring junior people, this isn't just illegal, but if we're hiring junior people for cost savings, do you have the skills required to do the job in a way that meets the mission and commander's intent? Or did the company just decide to bottom line it and it's up to the junior people to figure it out? And is the person in the leadership position equipped to train them? Does that person in that position have the resources and the time available to bring junior people up to speed? And usually the answer is no. And so that kind of goes back into what I was thinking about. I see a lot of benefit in onboarding tools or an onboarding process that lays it all out as a single source of truth, right? Here are the links we use every day. Here's what we need to do every day. Here's what we need to do every month. Like this is the cadence. And then how you operationalize and execute is on you based on your strengths. And something that I've found along the way as a lesson learned is not all lawyer supervisors are comfortable allowing that freedom. And that kind of hinders progress. And not all lawyer supervisors are equipped to handle agility, pivots, variables, all of these, I would say external, but sometimes it's internal, like lack of self-awareness. Sometimes we bring it upon ourselves, like if we aren't confident in what we do. And so I just really want to help them and allow this freedom for more people, because let me tell you, it's fun. Work becomes fun when you have freedom to operate.
Mm-hmm. You can then be innovative. It's a source of creativity.
Exactly. And growth, right? Like it pushes your own internal boundaries and your own, and I keep saying you, like there's this ephemeral you out there. Me, how about me? Okay, it pushes me.
You, listener.
Yeah, pushes me and gives people opportunity for growth and challenges that normally you probably wouldn't have signed up for on their own. And with a secure person in a leadership position, it's even more fun because there's not a fear of failure. Mm-hmm. And I think that fear of failure comes with the more insecure or the more fearful types of people in leadership positions. And sometimes that fear doesn't need to be there. Sorry, you were going to say something.
I worked under a really nice commander, a manager's manager. And he said that his role is to provide the pot and for the plants to grow in.
Yeah.
So he provides the soil, the pot. He said then it's up to the plants to actually do the growing.
Yes.
He can't make them grow.
Yes.
But he can provide an environment that will stimulate growth. So I really like that one. I also had a manager who was all about building and developing the people in the team under him. He said Beautiful. He already made it. He was already promoted. He's now in a management position. He said all of his accomplishments now are the accomplishments of those under him. I thought that was so beautiful.
Yes, this is the way. This is the way.
I also saw another manager who couldn't give a shit about anybody under him. Everything was about him. He was trying to be promoted up and up
Yes.
and up the ranks to be CEO.
Yeah.
That guy was not the manager.
No. So that person would be the person that I observed rearranging the office furniture as the new commander coming in, regardless of the purpose behind the setup, and requiring all kinds of things to make himself look good, or herself. In this case, it was a himself, but yeah, it's all about optics management and power sometimes. And
wow.
in
Now we're getting to the juicy stuff.
Yeah. So there's the people who have a purpose of self, and then there's people who have a purpose of others. And so when we talk about service leadership, that's purpose of others. And then when we talk about optics management, that's purpose of self. So
but you can't. It also can't go too far. Like I heard from you that you can't help other people so much
yes,
that you're actually hurting yourself
and them and their growth.
and them.
Right. So if your service of others and purpose is others, then to be consistent with that, it would be also developing others and allowing them to grow. And so one of the ways in the military that we do this is, what's it called? Like, I'm trying to think of the military jargon for it. It's like you hand the controls to the rookie.
Wow.
You hand the controls to the rookie. So if you are considering yourself the expert, that's your test. Can you recover if the rookie makes a mistake?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Flying the helicopter. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Flying that jet.
Yes. So, in fact, that is how a lot of pilots are trained. It's like, you've learned the books. You're in control. I'll let you know when you mess up. No pressure there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's a test for the expert. Are they really an expert? Or are they fragile? Or are they insecure? Or are they a control freak? Right? It tests all of these things. So it tests the tester and gives the rookie experience to lead on their own.
Uh-huh. And if you're really an expert, you should be able to pass that expertise on to other people.
Easy, because you're the expert. You said so.
So you're also giving in a way that's empowering somebody else.
Absolutely. That's leadership, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But in the legal world, this doesn't really exist in the culture because these positions are given. I'll say given, but I mean, you have to do something to get these positions. It's not open to everyone equally. But generally, it's based on legal expertise. How well do you know the law? How well do you know the regulations? Who do you know at the government level who can help us? How many years of experience do you have? And then all of a sudden, you're responsible for people. Well, where's that transition? There's that transition is not there. And so I feel like we've set up our people in leadership positions for failure unless they take it upon themselves to get leadership training from, some sort of consulting group or, a coach.
Born with it.
Or they're somewhat born with it, yeah. But even then,
I had one who was born with it.
it's practiced.
100%.
Yeah. But I bet you this person who was born with it has been practicing these skills all along, because that's how that person naturally operates, right? And I bet that person uses lessons learned to grow and develop and do better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a I go back to self-awareness, but it's also a want to grow, instead of just taking on the title of leader or taking on the title of expert or whatever. No, no. In the military, you're tested, and you're tested repeatedly day to day. You're growing day to day, because the variables in human and government and politics and climate, everything is changing around you, but yet you have to maintain the mission. So if I'm leading and I'm a brand new officer, what the heck do I know about aircraft maintenance? Right? I don't know anything about aircraft maintenance. I grew up on a farm. I know tractors, I know combines, so I do know heavy machinery, and I do know maintenance in general for regular vehicles. But aircraft, come on. I mean, and we do go through training where we learn, the physics and systems and engineering and, all of that stuff. But the enlisted are the experts. They are the technicians. They go through skills assessments. That's how they become from 3 level to 5 level, from 5 level to 7 level, from 7 level to 9 level. And then on the other side, they're also educating themselves on the promotion side. So it's 2 tracks in parallel, one for your technical expertise and one for your leadership development. And so after you become a certain rank, then you become available to become a supervisor. So you might get 2 or 3 troops to start with. And then you get more troops as you excel in rank. And then you're also studying as your skills, move up, and you become more of an expert. So all of this is happening. So when I joined, like, I was the least experienced person there, even though there were people lower ranking than me. Right? And so there's a couple of different ways people treat this. My personality was one of, again, adventure, curiosity, wonderment. Like, what are you guys even doing in here? What is this? And so without knowing the cultural norms and the rules, I would walk into sheet metal shop. So the skin of the aircraft. They have all kinds of cool equipment in there and all kinds of cool tools. It's like, I know tools. So I'd pick them up and look at them. And everybody around me panicked. It's like, what is this officer doing in our space, picking up our tools? Apparently, that was a huge infraction. I was not supposed to touch anything. I caused panic, and I did not realize that at the time. Right, my curiosity overwon anything around me. And then pretty soon, like, they started understanding that I wasn't there to meddle in their world. I wasn't there to tell them how to do their job, because that was their biggest fear. What's this officer who has so-called power coming into our world as the experts on, and she better not tell us how to do this stuff when she doesn't know. And so it ends up being this wonderful partnership where I lean on the experts to tell me what they need to do their job, to tell me when they're experiencing anomalies or exigent circumstances, or we don't have the right resources to do our job. We don't have enough resources to do our job. Because how would I know? I wouldn't know. I don't do the job day to day. But they do. And they interact with the other teams, and they interact with the climate and the culture, whatever. And so um, it's it's a it's another form of handing the control to the rookie. So senior enlisted people are the experts. They respect rank in my officership, and they also guide me and mentor me in understanding what they need to do their job to set them up for success. Sometimes it's just running interference and keeping the BS from coming down and hindering the mission. And that was fun. So I think legal, in the legal world, people in leadership positions can really help by being that umbrella for the BS and allow others on the team to do the job to satisfy the mission, rather than being the funnel and just like give everything to the team to figure out on their own.
Wow. There's a like a famous cartoon drawing of like a military soldier who's like kneeling on a bed, I think, with a child sleeping, and he has his arms like over the child, and he's acting as an umbrella for all these missiles and things coming out from the air, and he's like the umbrella over the child. So I just had this image in my mind as you were describing this. The leader needs to be the umbrella to stop all the BS from coming at the team.
Yes, because how else will the mission be accomplished if they're inundated with the BS? Everything you do is about the mission and accomplishing the mission. And sometimes that means staying out of their way and keeping the BS out of their way too. Mm-hmm. And, all of these things and all of these skills, like I've been doing it over a decade. It takes training. It takes experience. It's not something you read in a book and you do the next day. Because let me tell you, there's a lot of really uncomfortable situations. Learning is uncomfortable sometimes, right? Especially when we're in an environment that, like, I don't know anything about this, but yet I'm supposed to do this. It's very uncomfortable. But the more, you start taking off bits and you have mentors to guide you and to help you. And that's what I would like to do. I'd like to help guide people through these uncomfortable positions where they don't know what to do. They're like, what do we do with this?
So anybody out there who needs a mentor to guide them, Shelley is here for you. Shelley Bauer.
I can help you, because let me tell you, I learned a lot of lessons. I've been through many counseling sessions through I tested boundaries. I've tested those guardrails. I can tell you what that's like.
Nice. And yeah, I've heard from people, like I do mentor calls with lawyers all the time who want to get into this innovation kind of space.
Yeah.
And they ask me to, like, it's almost like being their therapist. They're like, let me tell you these war stories. Like people are just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I want to be the change, but nobody listens to me. And they ask me, like, well, how can I make this change? And I'm like, well, figure out your box, the box that Shelley describes. Figure out what that box is and figure out what you can do. What are the levers that you have? Because we all have things we can do. We have a sphere of influence. Go and work inside your sphere of influence and figure out what you can do, because you can only control what you have control over at the end of the day. And if you need extra, hire a consultant like Shelley, because we can come in from the outside and we can say the ugly truths, because you're paying us to say it and you want to hear the truth. A lot of times you can't, you're like gagged on the inside. You have to be the yes man. And that is very uncomfortable. A lot of people, it goes against being your authentic self, as they say nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the way the corporate world is right now.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned, bringing somebody in from the outside, because when you're in it, I don't know about your experience. Again, I'm using the ephemeral you. What I notice about me when I'm in it, I'm not necessarily always aware or have the objectivity about what's going on. But when I'm on the outside, I can see things differently. And I can employ different options differently.
You can also pretend that you're dumb. You can be like, I have no idea why you're doing that. Can you explain to me why you're doing that?
But now you're saying why. Watch out. Some people don't like the why question at all.
Okay.
Lesson learned. Yeah, what's happening over there? What's going on? Is there something that triggered this? And usually it's like, well, it's just what we always do. Oh, is there a purpose behind that? Like, what's happening? And I think also we are in a position where we can cross.
That's the ephemeral we.
yeah. Now I've changed it from the you to the we. Yeah.
Okay.
You like that? It was subtle till you pointed it out. The other thing is, as consultants, if I have to be careful and not over generalize, because not all consultants are equal. Mm-hmm. Some of us like the deep thinking. Some of us like to figure things out and not just collect payment for fancy PowerPoints or whatever. Like, that is so against, like, if anybody asks me to bedazzle their decks, I'm not their person. Like, I'm like reality, operations, execution, and that sounds very tactical, but it's also very strategic too. I don't want people paying for pretty decks, right? They want a solution and they want assistance. So that's my mission, right? Like, that's my mission. And so when I don't know about you, but I think you crosstalk with a lot of teams from different industries and different areas. And I do. And so we can bring in lessons learned from other areas and be like, hey, maybe this could work here. Did you know about this? And most times
IT and finance are doing something kind of cool. Like, why don't you use what they're doing?
Yeah. And sometimes when the workload is overloaded, we don't have time or the brain power to dig into those things. And as lawyers or people who are, what am I say? People who are subscribing to fast judgment, fast ROI, fast. Sometimes these things are dismissed. These other options are dismissed and not even recognized as an option, right?
I'm hearing long-term versus short-term.
Yes.
Everything is very short-term now. It's the next quarter. We're not thinking about a year from now.
Yes. And I would argue you can do both. We can do both. We can do short-term wins and set ourselves up for long-term investment. Like, there are ways to do both. But when you're just fighting fires and always reactive versus responsive, it becomes almost impossible to think about anything other than right here, right now. And we're missing some opportunities there. Yeah. And that fast judgment, the negative impact of fast judgment is no room for creativity, because you're making judgments versus exploring options. And that cuts the innovative process overall.
I noticed another mission
Yeah.
that I always have in the back of my mind when I'm working with a client. My number one mission is to make them look awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
If you make them look bad, you're a bad consultant. Do not do that to your clients. You are there to set them up. You're not there to make yourself look good. This goes back to that whole ego thing. Even
Yeah.
as consultants, get rid of your ego. Whatever you think makes you look good, nobody cares. You're there
Yeah.
to make your client look good. Maybe you're working with like an innovation manager on behalf of the whole department. Make that innovation manager look amazing. I did this with one client. We put in this huge we automated the entire department for this one client. And she was like an army of one kind of thing. So it
Yeah.
was, let's automate your entire job in like all these 30 spreadsheets that you have. We're going to put them into a single place with a dashboard and like really cool stuff.
Yeah.
She showed it. She got invited to meet with the CEO and to show it to him. And she only had like 1 day's notice. She's like, oh my God, I've never met the CEO, and yet I have to show him this tool that and I asked her, like, do you want me to be there as support? Because I'm the one who built it. Oh no. You built it. It's so incredible. I can do it. So like, okay. So I only heard like after the meeting, she said she got so much praise from the CEO because of what I built for her.
That's beautiful.
And I thought, this is like the highlight of my career now.
Yeah.
It's not me out there scoring the touchdown. I'm now the coach. I'm now on the sidelines supporting somebody else.
Yes.
And the more I can make them look good, the more accomplished I am.
Exactly.
So, not about me anymore.
Others, not self. Right?
Service of self. No, service of others.
Yeah. So the three well, when I was in the Air Force, the three tenets were integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. That's it.
We've lost excellence. We've lost excellence.
We've lost excellence. Yeah, it's now just firefighting.
Society.
Yeah, firefighting. What's the next thing?
Like whenever I go to buy something or get a service, I assume that there's no excellence. I assume that whoever is serving me is being paid like minimum wage or less than minimum wage. I assume that whatever I buy is just cheap crap from China that's going to break next week. There's no excellence. There's no quality. Like,
yeah, and yeah, and the people on that side, right, providing the goods or providing the service, they're all just surviving the best they can.
They're firefighting.
Yeah, they're firefighting with survival. Wow. Yes. So what is it? It's called enshittification.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's some truth to that. That's the word
I had in my mind.
Yeah, there's some truth to that because we're in this fast judgment world, this fast ROI world. And while that might work from, let's say, regular operating hours, right? Maybe what needs to happen is someone from the outside, if there's no time for anybody on the inside to do it, maybe that's the opportunity for someone else who has the time, who has the skills and the expertise to dig in and help those people and those leaders devise a plan to come up with more excellence. And I just know there's so many people who are inundated with the BS because people who are in leadership positions are not being the umbrella. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then there are others in leadership positions who get it, like your examples, right? I know I had a couple of really great lawyer supervisors who never asked me to do anything they couldn't do themselves. And if it was something new and different, they wanted to do it with me, so they understood. And then from there, they would know the process. They would know our resourcing. They would know, like, they were constantly involved, but not micromanaging. There's a difference. And I think sometimes we can get into this world of black and white thinking that comes with fast judgment. I've seen this before. It is this. But is it? Is that really what's happening? Or is that just something you've seen before? And this kind of has some similarities. And with the supervisors who would either join me or tell me, hey, this is new, report back what you find. You know, their level of involvement, they were able to say, like, oh, this is no longer going to be on us to do. This is actually this other department's job. Now that I see how this operates or what this process involves, right? Like, we are not the team to be handling this. So thank you for showing me and telling me what's going on. The other thing I strongly believe in is cross-training. Because with cross-training, we build growth and new skill sets and stretch ourselves, which then incites creativity and agility. So if one person,
this is a huge strength of the American system that I've seen, at least with legal.
Oh yeah.
American lawyers have to go study something else. Like, you have your military experience. You did aircraft maintenance, and then you're a lawyer. Like, that is such a cool, like, crossover. Mine was computers and linguistics, and then I did law.
Yeah.
So now I have so many more tools in the toolkit.
Right. And with these additional skills, we see things differently, and we can respond differently. And those who have not done anything else, I would say they're somewhat limited. But they feel comfortable. And so I challenge people to get outside of comfort zone and stretch and grow. And in these leadership positions, it's an opportunity to stretch and grow outside of legal expertise. But to your point earlier, it's up to the plant to grow. And I don't know. I mean, there's so many opportunities. Like, I get excited about it, and I'm like, does anybody else see? Yeah. Doesn't anybody else see these other opportunities? Come on, join me. It'll be fun.
Go in the machine shop, pick up some tools.
Yeah, see what happens. Let me tell you. I will tell you what happens. Oh, so in the end, you know what? You know how they responded? I love my guys so much. My flight chiefs and the shop chief decided to put the newest, lowest ranking enlisted person in charge of me whenever I walk in.
Yeah.
So they're like, she's an officer. What am I supposed to say? And so that was us training them to stand up and tell whoever it is that's against the rules. Because if you can't enforce compliance with the regulations and rules, and safety is really more about safety than anything else. You need to learn that from the beginning. And so that empowered the lowest ranking, newest person to stand up to a higher ranking officer and say, LT, I have to ask you to put that down. That's unsafe. That's against the shop rules. And then that builds confidence in that person. And then other people see it. And then it just slowly becomes the culture of the entire shop. And
I have heard that there is incredible bureaucracy in the military. So much, like, there's this example of, like, somebody needed, like, their computer monitor moved from, like, one room to the next. And there were like so many forms that had to be filled in. Like somebody had to drive like 4 hours or something to actually like take the computer monitor and put it into a box or something. And then somebody else had to like fly in and like put the box on a cart. And then somebody else had to like push the cart open. Like maybe you've heard this story too. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
but,
I mean,
but you're telling me that this isn't the way the military is, and I'm like, I think it is. I heard it is.
yeah. No, there are examples of this, right? And this does exist. So I don't want to say that, it never happens, because it's just like everything else. There are instances where it's like, that is ridiculous. So in our world, or I should say my world, in my world, it would be about, if we don't follow those rules, what's the worst that could happen? Those rules are in place for a reason. What's the reason? Okay, are we missing the point, or are we setting ourselves up for larger risk if we don't follow those rules?
I've
Or,
also heard of fights against corruption.
yeah, yes,
Nobody can just take a piece of equipment out of the building.
yes,
There's a paper trail of absolutely everything.
yes. So what if my creative agility would be like, the purpose behind all of those steps and including all of those people is what? Usually it's about tracking. Usually it's about safety. It might be about, I don't know, something else. Then the next question is, are we violating any union laws? Because once a job or a task is identified as union and you violate that, that's a huge risk. So that's not worth being creative with. But if it's not union and it's not like all these other things, I can track the serial numbers and the UPC numbers and do whatever, because I'm going to call ahead and ask them the information that they need. And I'll just do it. We'll get it done. We'll show them before and after pictures. And guess what? The process was followed in spirit, but not necessarily black and white. And that's some of that creative agility that I also employ as an in-house attorney, because some of these policies are more friction than strategic. So the deal needs to be done in 2 days, but if I follow the policy exactly as written, step by step, that's a 3-month process. What's our mission? Our mission is to support sales and to support the customer. So that policy is not in alignment with our mission. Or it is, and we're just in an extenuating circumstance. But there's nothing there that accounts for the extenuating circumstance. So once again, how are we setting our people up for success if we don't account for these other things that occur in reality? So all of it, that's why I say, like, you can read a book, but systems thinking, reiterating, and operating on the system itself is an art, and it takes time and several lessons learned in my case.
I think it takes imagination too.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a different way of thinking. I have been wondering lately about innovation. Like, we're putting out all these AI tools, and the marketing is always like, this will help everybody to be more creative and to innovate. And then we see, like, it's not working. Like 95% of the time they don't work, kind of a thing. And it makes me wonder, is innovation something that is like something we're born with? Like, is Einstein, are we all possible Einsteins, or is Einstein actually pretty rare?
Oh, yeah,
Where is innovation? Can you grow innovation, or is it kind of
you can.
inborn in certain people? Hmm.
It's both. I say it's both. I don't know. I'm sure there's experts out there who study this regularly. Um, I say it's both. If I'm going to say, sorry, too many ums.
Oh,
There's,
um,
um, I'm now meditating. The see, innovation is different than iteration. I think we can agree on that, right? Iteration is just a derivative of whatever's already existing. And and I say innovation is something new and different. And so if we want to innovate, that requires imagination.
uh-huh.
And that requires some creativity. And that requires pushing boundaries. And that
Things like rebellion, also
yeah,
going
this is
against the status quo.
this is my life since a childhood. My parents would tell you that. Pushed all their buttons and boundaries. Um, so then, if that's the case, then what needs to be available for people to go back to that world? And the people who we see who are most innovative are children. They will see things very differently because they aren't clouded with all the rest of the adult stuff that happens. And so for me, the way I do it, I bring my inner child and I see everything as brand new, as though I've never seen it before, because it's easy to get into the world of that's the way we've always done it, tradition, um, peer pressure from the grave. That's tradition. And then uh, we get we get blinders to what else is possible. But if we see everything as new, and it's like it's the first time ever experiencing something, we start seeing different things occurring or different options available. And that is partly the reason why the military brings in the senior expert, the senior enlisted experts, and pairs them with with junior officers, because that kind of helps like rein in the the great ideas. Look at this, I got a great idea. But also the experts can tell you when something is new or different. But the risk, military knows there's a risk in expert bias. So expert bias comes into play when it's like, that'll never work. Here's the way to do things. I know the way, on and on. And that's when the junior or the officer comes in and it's like, but what if we did it differently? And so that's kind of how we on active duty anyway, and the mentors I had, both enlisted and officers, operated. That question was allowed. The freedom to explore was allowed. And then there was always an after action or a debrief. What did you learn? What will we do next time that's the same? What will we do that's different? How would we optimize this? Is this scalable, or is this a one-time incident? Do we need to update? Do we need to put in, excuse me, the forms to update the instructions or the manual or whatever because we have a better way? There's new tools out. How do we use these new tools? Does it make sense? Like all of these things. So growing up as a kid, what I learned is that it can be the exception for parents to allow their kids to explore and discover new things and then have consequences after. So Like I was risk assessing from, I don't know, whatever age my brain was able to risk assess. It's like, oh, is this worth the punishment if I get caught? It's like, you know what? The odds that I ever get caught tell me this is totally worth it. And then I always got caught, but that's different. but I was given that freedom. And right now I feel like there's so much fear and insecurity of, especially in the US, of losing your job or looking bad. So back to the optics management. And as long as that fear and that insecurity is in place, then it stifles experiment, it stifles creativity, and it stagnates the ability to innovate. So the more,
a lot of learning and a lot of experimenting is finding out you're wrong. You want to do that faster so you can get to the right thing.
Yes, exactly. Fail fast, iterate, move on, lessons learned, and try not to repeat the same things over again. But if there's no way to collect those lessons learned and transfer that knowledge to more people, so about others versus self, transfer that knowledge to others, then we just keep repeating the same things eventually. And that's there's an opportunity here where we can share this information versus keeping it to ourselves if we think about others versus self.
This would have a huge impact on the corporate world if we could take this from the military.
Yeah.
All of these insights, I'm sitting here I'm like dumbfounded. I'm like, this is so profound. I never knew this about our military.
Oh, really? So I think one of the best books.
The Ephemeral Hour, by the way, because I know I have audience in Europe and in other countries as well. So this is the Ephemeral Hour, guys.
Yeah.
Our military.
Everyone, and this is not unique to the U.S. military. So I would work with special operations from the U.S., from Great Britain, Australia, Germany, all countries, and
you must have seen some stuff.
I have seen some things. This is true. I have to really think about what can I publicly share versus not.
Like, you haven't even said where you were. I still have no idea.
I primarily stayed in the U.S. However, that does not mean I didn't have contact with other areas. So I don't know how much time we have, but I have a pretty funny story.
I think we have 3 minutes.
Okay. Do you want to?
If you want to talk about aliens.
So
let's try to wrap it up because it's already almost 2 hours.
Yeah. Oh,
she's been great.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. So there was a point where I was the lowest ranking officer in a group of 1,200, and they put me responsible for the new program that they wanted to bring in as the night shift duty officer. And I was the first one to go in. And that meant working from 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. for a month.
Oh, it is aliens. We're going to aliens. Nighttime. Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm a lieutenant. This is still somewhat new to me, but I have almost a year in at this point. But it's back shop. It's not the flight line where we are preparing aircraft to fly. So this is new for me. Yeah, so this is new for me, generating aircraft to fly, whatever. We had a mission 24/7 operations, whatever. Then I get a call, and it's from a captain in Turkey with 2 of our aircraft. And says, hey, I'm sure you probably already heard by now, but do you know the plan moving ahead? I don't even know what you're talking about. And and they're like, oh, well, the president of the president of Turkey, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone.
president, yes. And the base commander here at Turkey have decided to close down all operations, and we need to be out of here in 3 days with all of our aircraft and
Oh,
our entire building of tools and parts. And I was like, this is an international incident. I don't know how to do this. I'm still learning. What am I supposed to do here? It was wild.
go rent a
So
truck.
what was yeah. So, I quickly called up the officer who volunteered me to be on this duty. He volunteered me to be on this duty. Hey, guess what? I got a call. We have an international incident on our hands. What are we going to do? So sometimes asking for help is a requirement and is a necessity when it's outside of your bounds.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap it up then. We've
Okay.
got just a couple minutes. Do you have any like last message? I really like this that you approached me and said like, let me talk about what we can learn from the military. And I'm like, military? But you've really shown that like there are a lot of profound lessons here.
Oh, thank you.
So I guess thank you for coming on. And any closing message that you would like to have? And where can people find you and connect with you? I believe you have your own consulting company.
Yes, so I'm on LinkedIn, Shelley Bauer. My email right now is shelley@pathmakers.io, and it's on the front page of my LinkedIn. I'm still setting up website and all the other stuff right now. So LinkedIn is probably the best bet, or email me.
Okay.
I'm here to help.
That's Shelley is with an EY.
Yes.
And Bauer, BAUER.
Yes. Thank you, Justin. I really appreciate you allowing me on here and also sharing your expertise and your tools.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you again to Shelley for coming on and sharing her wealth of knowledge she gained from her experience in the military. Shelley connected with me on LinkedIn and suggested we talk on the subject. I was genuinely surprised by what we can learn about innovation, as well as leadership from the military. If you have experience you would like to share, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Justin Turman, Turman, lawyer, coder, and linguist in the Netherlands currently. Or feel free to connect with me at justin@automateofficework.com. If there's anything I can help you with on your automating journey, let's connect. And as always, I wish you happy automating.